we're talking about a guy that owed $60,000 a week, so I'm not sure he had any cash, but he did have the keys. The crazy part is, the absolute crazy part is, you want to know what the guy's name was?
What?
It was a little more complicated than this, but he went by Bambi. So the guy shot Bambi for a real estate transaction. I don't know how dark that gets. I mean, like, that's pretty bad.
In the drawer that's too clean to call a story untold. The windows reflect what I can't unsee. A murder that echoes eternally.
Welcome to Murder, Mayhem, and Mortgages, where sometimes the property line is where loyalty ends.
I'm Robbie,
And I'm Chef.
and we are your local dark twisted real estate professionals, bringing to you some darker stories and true facts
Yes.
about some real estate history, both in Texas, in the U.S., and even internationally.
Yes.
So, where are we starting off today?
I thought you were going first today.
Oh. Okay. Well, I'm going to start off in London, I think. All right. So,
Awesome. Mine's in England today, too.
really?
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. I don't think we planned that.
No.
Well, we're going to go with a story of this guy's name is creepy. Thanos Papalexis. Have you ever heard the name?
Thanos.
Thanos. Literally Thanos. Moms, pay attention. Everything's in a name. And unfortunately, Thanos, who is the destructor in the Marvel Universe, also can be a destructor in development and real estate.
Kind of looks like him.
He does kind of look like him, except he doesn't have the goatee, I guess. So basically, Thanos was born of a Greek family that was quite wealthy,
Mhm.
and he was raised in a very luxurious life. Got used to yachts and private planes.
Good old silver
and-
spoon.
Yes, the good old silver spoon, but I think it was more than just a silver spoon. I think it was life of the luxury beyond what Kardashians are used to. So, as he's living his life, he often invests in property, and that life is very expensive. He got to a place to where he was spending about $60,000 a week.
Wow.
Yes. So he actually was put in a little bit of a financial bind. And so what did he do? Well, liquidate a property or two. Okay. Not a big problem. He had a $2 million property that was a warehouse in London that he had decided he needed to sell very quickly.
It was actually his.
It was actually his,
Okay.
surprisingly enough. Only one problem. He had a tenant in the property. He actually was kind of like a maintenance man. He was just there living on site, but also taking care of the property. and all.
Okay.
And so he told the guy, "Hey, I need you to vacate." And he goes, "Vacate? I live here." And kind of back and forth a little bit. Well, Thanos decided not to take no for an answer. So he tied the guy to a chair,
Oh.
tortured him, and ultimately killed him.
I mean, cash for keys would probably be the better route to go here, but okay.
Right. But, we're talking about a guy that owed $60,000 a week. So I'm not sure he had any cash, but he did have the keys. And the crazy part is, the absolute crazy part is, you want to know what the guy's name was?
What?
It was a little more complicated than this, but he went by Bambi. So the guy shot Bambi for a real estate transaction. I don't know how dark that gets. I mean, like, that's pretty bad. Now, the
That's
warehouse
crazy.
was only for $2 million. So I'm not sure how long. I mean, like, doing the math, it wouldn't have covered him too much longer. But he wanted this property sold, wanted it sold quickly. He had gotten to a state of mind to where the only thing preventing this transaction from going through was Bambi. So he tied him to a chair, tortured him, and then ultimately killed him, and then dumped him in a industrial area of London. And he was the guy Bambi was found 2 weeks later. So
Good Lord.
crazy.
Why couldn't he just try to sell it with the tenant? Like, I just don't understand some
Right.
people's
Comes
thought
with
process.
management, right? You would think that would be an opportunity. Strangely enough, the transaction itself wound up falling through. So he never wound up selling that warehouse for the $2 million. He still needed money. And now all of a sudden he's under suspicion for murder. And what do you do when you're under suspicion of murder and crime? Well, you move to Florida. Okay?
Florida.
Kid
You and
you
your
not.
obsession with Florida.
I'm telling you, if Florida is a trip, okay? Just asking anybody that's been there once or twice or somebody that's lived there 30 years.
Starting to
It's
think
just
it's
a trip.
the garbage disposal of America.
Oh, well, I got a lot of friends there, got a lot of family there. I can't say that. Florida's just different. When's the last time you've been to Florida?
It's been some few years.
Okay.
I actually really enjoy visiting Florida.
Gotcha. Well, imagine Florida in 2005. This is a time where Epstein is still running around. And this dude goes while he's fighting the crime over in London
Mm-hmm.
and, throwing everything attorneys can throw at it, doesn't want to deal with it, and just moves down the street from Donald Trump, Mar-a-Lago's kind of thing. And literally, this is the time where Epstein is running around, Clinton's running around with Epstein, and literally he's hanging out with the Clintons while under suspicion.
This guy?
This guy,
Oh my gosh.
Thanos, right? I kid you not. I don't know how I can find these stories. I'm not making it up. You can actually look it up. He's hanging out with the Clintons. I don't think they knew anything about it, but for whatever reason, I mean, like Chat GPT is really going to help future politicians out as to who the heck to hang out with, right? Because obviously they really needed some help back in the 2000s and in the 90s because nobody knew who the heck
I mean,
to quit hanging out with.
you gotta have security clearance to work for them, but they don't vet anybody that they just hang out with.
I guess not. I don't know. Or, man, sir, I really think you need to take 2 steps back. I mean, like, what? Apparently that just didn't happen. So legit, like, yeah, he was hanging out with the Clintons and and I'm like, what the heck was happening in the 2000s in Florida? What was it? Nonsense and
Oh
chaos.
my
Anyway,
gosh.
so basically in 2007, he basically gets the equivalent of a English indictment. They bring him over and he goes to jail for the crime. But he only killed one person for a transaction that fell through. He killed Bambi and was hanging out with the Clintons down the street from Donald Trump. Okay.
How
there
much
we go.
time did he get?
Oh, I'd have to even look at it.
I mean,
Let's
here
see
in
here.
America, you can kill somebody and be out in 6 years or less.
You know what? That's just creepy that you know that. That is just pure creepy that you would
It's
know that.
unfortunate that I know
Now
that,
watch a
and
lot
not
of
because I
Dateline.
killed
Not
somebody.
everybody only gets 5 years. That's a myth. Like if I were to go to jail for something, they'd probably put me in for a good 25, 30 years just for my mouth. So he was finally convicted of Bambi's murder. He got a life sentence. The judge didn't hold back, called him immoral and greedy. Imagine that.
Good.
Basically said, you brought this on yourself, pal. But sadly enough, he lost his girlfriend. He actually also confessed to one of
Oh,
his
wah, wah.
paramours. Lost his boat. He had a big boat. He pretty much lost his fortune, his Palm Springs place. He lost
I hear
basically
tiny
everything.
violins right now, Robin. Tiny
Really?
violins.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you only feel bad about it if you've ever experienced it, I guess, because the higher you rise, the harder it is to fall.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So, what you got for me?
So my story is a man. His name is Don Banfield. He lived near Kent, and one day he was a loving father. He was in his 60s and just one day disappeared. The crazy thing was his pension checks were still being cashed, and then all of a sudden his house was sold, but no Don.
Okay.
Now, essentially, what had happened was, of course, in a
Dawn's in
situation,
the freezer.
in a situation like this, you start following the money,
Mhm.
and the money implicated the wife and the daughter. And essentially, they did sell the house. They were siphoning off this pension fund, and they were eventually caught, even though they never found the body. They were caught, and they I guess maybe had admitted to the crime that they had murdered him, dismembered him, and buried him near the home somewhere.
I feel like a wood chipper and a pig are involved in this or
Yes.
something.
But it took nearly 2 decades for them to actually, convict the wife and the daughter, and they are now in jail, but it was a
Well, no
very
body,
long.
no crime,
Yeah,
right?
it
Is
was a
that
very,
the
very,
problem? And they had each other's backs, obviously. That's very rare.
very long process, but they were essentially brought to justice, and it's just one example of somebody killing somebody and burying them in a backyard. Because today, mine is a two-part story.
But that sounds like a Lifetime movie network with the mother and daughter in sync for a pension fund.
It's funny you say that because the second story I'm going to discuss was actually on a national. It was part of a documentary. I think it was called "Worst Roommate Ever." Have you ever heard that
Oh,
one?
I love that show.
So this one's coming back to America.
You know, I
It,
play that sometimes for my wife when she complains I don't do the dishes. I'm like, watch, honey. Could be worse. I don't think she sees it the same way that I do, though.
Probably not. And this lady, it was a while back. Let me find it. Dorothea Helen Puente,
Sounds
and
like a sweet old lady.
well, she looked like a sweet old lady. She was actually in her 50s, and she would dress up like she was more like 70, and just, this nice, unassuming lady. She had a boarding house in California, and she would have people come live with her, older people. They didn't really have, again, not a lot of family, not a lot of people that were looking for them, checking on them. And
Again, extended family, read the room, really can help be your first line of defense against
yes,
these chaos killers.
yes. But she would have them move into the home. She would drug them, and then she would kill them and start, cashing their social security checks.
Okay.
Yeah, she would fraudulently deposit and cash the social security checks, and eventually she was caught, and there were several bodies that they found buried in the backyard of this boarding house.
You know, the irony of all ironies, I have yet to see a Social Security check that's large enough for me to want to kill for.
But if you
I
have
mean, like,
multiple people, I
well,
mean,
how many people are we talking about?
oh, let me see. It was several. I don't know the exact number. No, I don't think it says exactly how many people that she had killed, but there were just multiple counts. Oh, she was convicted of 3 murders, but there was 9 actually that went missing.
9 bodies?
9
Now,
that 9 that went missing, but 3 that she was actually convicted for, and she was sentenced to life
and they
in
were
prison
buried
without
on
parole.
the property,
In the backyard. Yep.
and they only found 3 bodies on site.
I think they were dismembered and stuff like that, so they just found pieces, and so
Again, wood chipper,
they were
pig.
they were How do you know this, Robin?
I watch a lot of Murder and Mayhem.
But yeah, it just goes to show you that, check the backyard first, I guess. When
Right.
somebody's missing, just check the backyard.
You know, it's interesting. You say I'm obsessed with Florida, but it's mostly because the alligators. All
There's a
right.
lot of mayhem in Florida, though. I mean, it's very easy to have Florida in the discussion because there's so much mayhem that goes on there and
Yeah,
murders.
I know. And they have Florida Man and on go the jokes. So,
Yes, I'm sure there's Ponzi schemes and mortgage fraud everywhere down there as well.
mm. So, all right. At the end of every episode, we do try to rate each other's stories on a scale of 1 to 5 for each segment for murder, mayhem, and mortgages. So, mortgages, I'm going to give you a 2 because there wasn't that much as far as mortgage, say, but there was a lot of financial scams and fraud as
Yes.
far as both of them. So, maybe a 3.
It's
I'm going
always
to give you a
about the
3.
money, man.
I'm going to
Always
give you a
about the
3.
money.
Follow the money. Murder, yeah, you get a 4 for it, especially for the mom-daughter team. Okay.
Yes.
I like that, but it should be the Black Widow episode for you, for sure. And Mayhem, yeah, you're gonna get a solid 3 from me on Mayhem for that because
Wasn't a lot of craziness, just a lot of shadiness.
that is so excellent. I love it. I love it. Not a lot of craziness, just a little bit of shadiness.
For yours, I'm gonna have to just give you perfect score because wow, like the the nature of, who he was hanging out with. Not that the crime itself was super crazy. I mean, it's just your typical I'm greedy and got to get rid of somebody. But the fact that he came over here and was hanging out with the people that he was hanging out with, and that these people had no idea, or allegedly had no idea,
Allegedly.
because with the current state of our politics, I feel like they know a lot more than they lead on to,
He
and they
was
and they hang out with some pretty questionable people.
Yes, and, like, literally, he was like the Puff Daddy before the Puff Daddy, right? So, there we go. I mean, like, who knows? Maybe he was at a white party. You never know.
Oh my
So,
gosh, probably.
oh, imaginations run wild and amok on this show. So,
Yes.
that's it for today's episode of Murder, Mayhem, and Mortgages.
And if
Where
you
you're
have
always going to find a dark tale behind every curtain.
Yes. And if you have a personal story that you would like to submit, please send it to the email below. And don't forget to like and subscribe on the channel that you like.